Hi, I'm glad you're here today. I'm Jennifer of Unset Ways, Yoga and Mindful Movement. Today's class is not about doing things right, but about noticing change. So it's not about how deeply you move, but how the relationship with listening to your body shifts. We'll move through 3 phases today, and not as levels to achieve, but as experiences that you might come to recognize. So I do suggest a lot of props to have available today. Maybe a couple of blankets, some bolsters or large couch cushions or firm pillows. And if you have a couple of yoga blocks, great. Or even a small stack of books having handy would be great. So feel free to pause the video and gather your things. I'll meet you back here. So we'll start today by laying on our backs. So we'll have knees bent, feet flat on the floor. You're welcome to have your arms relaxed by your sides, or even one hand on your heart, one hand on your belly. And we'll start to anchor into the moment by connecting with our breath. Just notice the gentle inhales and exhales. Feel the ground supporting your body beneath you. And start to notice how easy or difficult is it to sense how you feel today. Sometimes body listening can feel noisy or uncertain or effortful. But let's get into some movement today. So let's take some gentle windshield wiper movements side to side. Nice little rock of the body. Let's bring both knees to one side and just a light, gentle twist. And coming over to the other side. And back to center. We'll bring our knees in towards our chest, giving a nice little squeeze of a hug. And then one nice long stretch, fingertips to toes, maybe a little wiggle with your body. Deep breath in and big exhale. And we'll return to feet flat on the floor, knees bent. If you are comfortable here, you may consider staying here, or if you like, you can add a block or small pillow. I would keep the block at a low setting since we're early in the practice, and place it beneath your sacrum. So you want to make sure, either way, pillow or block, that it's beneath that triangular bone and not under the soft curve of your back. And then whether you're on the floor or on a prop, one at a time, we'll raise our legs into a feet up position. And let's start to move intuitively. So maybe a little shake, shimmy of the legs, little kicks, little wiggles, get that circulation moving. You can add some bigger movement if you like. Just go intuitively. And then let's come to stillness. Keeping our feet raised to the sky. Our sacrum planted into our surface. Breathing gently. Any moments of stillness are excellent times to turn back into our bodies during any practice. Notice any sensations. What calls your attention first? Or are you feeling multiple sensations at once? And there's no need to define anything. Even if you say, I don't know, that is okay. After your next cycle of breath, slowly bring your feet back down to the floor, lifting your hips and removing any props if necessary. Gently, let's bring our knees into our chest for one more hug, maybe a slight rock side to side. And then roll to a side, slowly and gently pushing yourself up to seated. At some point, body listening starts to include choice. My practices involve a lot of yin yoga. Yin yoga allows us time for stillness and introspection. It also makes a lot of space for choice in our practices. For example, yin yoga encourages the use of a lot of props. We all have a lot of different body types and alignments. So coming into a posture, we have options so that we can each arrive at a similar end feel to what the purpose of each posture is. So for example, let's move slowly into this first set of poses. We're going to come into hands and knees, but first of all, I'd like to set up our pillows and bolsters at the top of our mat to have ready for later. So as many as you'd like, just having them so that they'll be within reach. And we are going to start at a hands and knees position. And maybe this is comfortable for you, just as is. If not, it can be nice to fold or roll up a blanket to have some extra padding underneath the knee area. And just that little bit can make a large improvement. As well, if you have sensitive wrists and hands, you may like to have some blocks available. And you can choose the levels, the height of the blocks that works for you. Once we get into the pose, you'll be able to adjust that. So from here, we'll get started by extending one of our legs in front of us. So making any adjustments with your props as necessary. Want to have our arms and hands below our shoulders and kind of our hip above our bended knee. From here, we'll start to rock forward and back, warming up for a lunge posture. And then we'll pause. If you need to change your positioning just a bit, we're going to step our forward foot outside of our hands. So you're welcome to keep your toes facing forward, or if you like, go up on your heel and pivot to have the toes pointing slightly outward. Another option here is to roll onto the razor edge of your outer foot, allowing your leg to lean open. If you do so, just make sure you're not twisting your ankle or putting undue pressure on that joint. You want to have a nice, comfortable alignment with your foot and leg. And we'll sink in just a little bit into our lunge position. So let's just pause here in a light version of this stretch as we connect with our breath and acclimate to the moment. Another aspect of yin is for longer holds in a posture, and this encourages our meditative turning within. Yin yoga assists the release and nourishment of connective tissue with these longer holds, since connective tissue responds more slowly than stretching muscle tissue. So finding the appropriate depth for our stretch today is key. You want to aim for a position that allows you to feel sensation without feeling pain. So in this case, we'll likely feel it in the front of our left hip and maybe into the inner thigh a bit. So you should find a depth where you feel that sensation and you can breathe evenly without a sense of panic. So let's take this gently. If you already feel like you're in a good amount of stretch, feel free to stay here. To create more depth, some people like to lower all the way down to the floor and supporting on their forearms or supporting their head with their arms. You could also bring in as many props as you'd like, maybe some blocks to support your forearms below you, or stack up as many pillows as you'd like to raise you up. Supporting on your forearms, you want a nice balanced position so you're not feeling like you're working hard with any area of your body. Nice neutral neck and spine. So ease into your best position for today and find your breath, finding stillness. You want to find a position that you can sustain. Yin yoga poses are held generally between 2 and 10 minutes. Within that time, you can gradually notice change in your body. Notice, is this sensation asking for more space, more time, more propping? You can also notice if you need to leave the position before you need to. For example, in my own experience, I can hold this posture for 2 to 3 minutes before I get a sense of overstretch. And that's just the way my body is. There's other postures I can hold for much longer. But when I start to sense that, it's important for me to exit the posture while I've still done benefit within that 2 to 3 minutes, but before I risk injury. So you want to notice in yourself as you go along the difference between challenging yourself or overriding sensation. And make the choices that you feel are right on any given day. So after your next cycle of breath, let's slowly exit out of the posture. And you can do some light rocking back and forth, start to ease that hip a bit. Bringing the knees back side by side. Any intuitive movement from here is definitely welcome. Give yourself a sense of releasing the hips, maybe coming back to child's pose. Anything you need, maybe rocking side to side. And then we'll reset, coming back to our hands and knees position to prepare for the other side. So you'll know what's coming. And let's get ourselves steadied, bringing the opposite foot forward. And start some gentle rocking front to back. Now let's take that foot stepping out to the outside of our hands and getting into a position for our low lunge. You're welcome to keep those toes forward again, or pivot on your heel to point the toes outward. And again, you could even roll onto that razor edge of your foot, allowing the leg to lean outward slightly, watching that ankle joint. So find what works for you. It may even be a different position than you did on the other side. So we have a lot of imbalances in our bodies just by how we are formed due to our daily activities, all kinds of influences, injuries, anything. So each side can be treated differently, and that's okay. So let's take a few breaths here, allowing ourselves to recalibrate into just a low lunge. And if you're feeling a good amount of stretch, feel free to stay here, or add in your props or lowering yourself to the floor, finding the depth that works for you to sink in a bit deeper into the stretch. This time we'll be aiming to feel the sensation in the front of our right hip, maybe a little bit into our inner thigh there. So find that balanced position just for you. And once again, return to your breath. After your next cycle of breath, we'll slowly raise ourselves up, coming back into a light lunge front and back. In any of my classes, since they are on video, feel free to pause if you need to hold any position longer. Again, as I said, each posture is unique for each individual. Some you'll crave more holding and more introspection, and others you'll be fine within a more minimal amount of time. So listen to your body each day and follow what you need. We'll bring the knees back side to side again. Pursue any intuitive movement you like. From here, we're going to remove our props back out of the way. And we're going to come back to where we started from. So we'll lower ourselves back down onto our mat, laying with feet on the floor, knees bent, and settle into our breathing, maybe hands at our sides, or you're welcome to do one hand on your heart, one hand on your belly. So over time, some of this decision making will become quieter and more intuitive, and you'll more naturally follow your body's lead when you come into your practice. So let's return to some intuitive movement and see how our bodies respond. We can start with the windshield wiper movement that we did in the beginning. Again, anchoring in with your breath. And start to listen to what your body's saying. So a few options to go from here. Maybe your body is wanting to bring your knees to your chest, giving them a nice squeeze of a hug. And maybe just coming into a gentle rocking side to side if your nervous system needs a little extra ease today. Feel free to sustain here or even in curled up stillness. Perhaps your body is craving a little extra depth of stretch today, in which case we could take our knees to one side into that twisting motion. You're welcome to prop a block or pillow in between your knees or below your knees if you like, and then extend that gaze and the opposite arm to the other side. Either way, you decide the pace and the timing of each part of this practice. So make sure you do settle in for a few breaths at least, or as much time as you need before switching to the other side in your twist. And after your next cycle of breath, let's come back to center, feet on the floor, knees bent. Taking a nice deep breath in, big sigh, exhale. And next we'll return to the legs up pose. So if you want to grab a block or a pillow for under your hips, you are welcome to. You'll press in with both feet, lifting the hips, and again placing that right underneath the sacrum, that triangular bone in your hip, in between your hips there. And find your comfort level. Maybe your body wants to pursue more stillness and meditation, in which case you could take one of the leg options in place, in sort of butterfly pose, or feet wide, knees in, or even outstretched like Shavasana. If your body has some excess energy it needs to move around, feel free to bring your legs up and maybe pursue some more intuitive somatic movement once again. And if you've chosen the somatic movement, feel free to alternate with stillness as well and take notice of changes in your body. After your next cycle of breath, bring yourself back to the present. If you've floated away, slowly bring your feet back to the floor, bent knees. Gently remove any props if necessary. And let's all bring our knees in for one more hug and gentle rock side to side. And maybe a nice long stretch of the body, fingertips to toes. Give a nice wiggle of the body. Nice deep breath in. Big sigh, exhale out. Allow yourself to melt into the mat for just a moment. And once again, gently step your feet to the mat, bent knees. Take your time rolling to a side and pressing yourself up to a seat. Feel free to bring in a block or anything that might be more comfortable for your seated position. And together, let's take a nice deep breath in, allowing the arms to raise up and around above our head. Big exhale out. Let's do that once again together. Inhale in. Big exhale. Go ahead and rest your hands in your lap if that's comfortable, or again, one hand on your heart, one hand on your belly. This can be very soothing to the nervous system. And maybe allow your eyes to gently close or keep a soft gaze. We'll take a time for reflection of our practice today. Feel free to revisit this for journaling later, or just notice your thoughts in the moment. So, how does your body listening feel differently from the beginning of practice to now? Not better or worse, just notice any differences. And what is it that has changed? Is it your body or your relationship to listening to it? Option to stay here in a gentle meditation for as long as you may need today. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you next time.